welcome, Shawn, to Raw and Cooked Vegan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great to
It's
have you.
good to be here.
All
I am a big
right.
fan.
Hey, man, I'm glad you're getting something out of the videos, man. So it
Oh
sounds
yeah.
like you've been doing the walk longer than I have. So I'm eager to hear your story.
Yeah, I started 2 years ago. Um, I would say my introduction to it was mainly, uh, like I was saying earlier when I talked with you about trying to get off ADD medication.
Yeah,
I didn't like the way I was feeling with it. My eating habits weren't too good at the time too. It was basic sad diet. Um, so one of the people in my music classes, they told me about a documentary called The Beautiful Truth. So I looked into that, and that was about how food could be medicine. And basically, that was the beginning right there. It got me thinking about how the drugs and everything like that, it just wasn't working.
that's cool, Shawn. Can you tell me? You probably have noticed when I start these, I ask people to generally characterize the diet they had when they were raised. So when you were growing up, was it like you said it was standard American diet? And how was your health? Like, did the ADD issues come later on, or did you have those as a child? How did that manifest?
I had those as a kid, yeah, and
Okay.
I was diagnosed as a kid, and they had me on Ritalin. They had me doing uh, like what was I doing later on in college? I was doing uh, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It was one of the main ADD medications.
That's cool. That's cool. It doesn't
Uh,
matter. And
yeah.
now, knowing what you know now, do you feel like a lot of parents don't need to be giving their kids Ritalin?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That it's yeah. It just made me feel completely out of it, like a zombie or something. I was just completely out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like taking the Ritalin at all, and I find I'm able to focus a lot more just eating plant-based. You
Beautiful.
know.
Now, did you once you saw this documentary or you read the book, was it like immediately you changed, or did it take you some while to transition?
Um, well, from there I saw related videos. I saw Forks Over Knives, and that's probably what really did it right there. That's when I started seeing that it was tied to animal products, that it was mostly having the effect, um, even mentally. I mean, it was the medication that was causing most of how I was feeling bad, but it was also the animal food. So I decided to just cut them all out. I honestly just started going vegan from that point on, and I cheated a little bit here and there along the way. It wasn't easy for about the first 2 months, and
Okay.
then it got better after that because I needed options. I was looking for different options. Um, and
So
the
were you about 26, 27 when that happened?
27,
Okay.
27 years old.
All right.
Um,
And
also, my guitar teacher was also telling me that the ADD medication had a lot of related things to like kidney problems and stuff like that down the road. And so I was like, all right, I need to find some kind of other option. I didn't want to look into supplements because I didn't like the thought of taking just more pills. I wanted to get away from pills completely. You know.
totally understand that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a vicious cycle that a lot of folks find themselves in with conventional medical treatment. They get issued some meds which relieve symptoms for a time, but then later on they get negative symptoms, and and they haven't removed the cause. So
Yeah, I was getting the heart palpitations, and I was just, I mean, with ADD, you have what you could call hyperfocus, where you're able to focus a lot better than most people for a long period of time. Like when you get involved in a project, you can really, really focus on it. But this was almost like when you were on the medication, you were kind of stuck in hyperfocus, where you just couldn't get out of it. So if the teacher would say something, you would dwell on that one thing the entire class. It
oh
was
man,
almost it was a good thing in a sense that you could think deeply about something, but you couldn't switch to the next
yeah, it's inflexible.
thing that you needed to focus on, because
Yeah,
you were so focused. Yeah, yeah, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be able to have control over my own mind rather than the drug being, controlling my mind.
totally,
Uh,
totally understand. Yeah. And would you say at the point at which you stopped eating animal products, did you also immediately stop medication, or did you go vegan for a while and then stop meds? How did that work out?
I believe I stopped the medication first. Yeah, I stopped the medication first, and I wanted to see how my body would do just doing the vegan diet, and that came from after seeing the Forks Over Knives, seeing also what happens to the animals. I watched like Meet Your Meat. After that, I was only able to get like halfway through that, and that was it.
Yeah,
Once I saw that,
yeah,
there
it's
was
true,
there,
man.
there was no question. There was no going back. Once you know what happens to them, there's no going back. You
Yeah,
know.
it's so cool to hear you say that. It's like most of us walk around, we don't know what's going on behind those beautiful packages at the grocery store, and it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Yes.
so so that's amazing. Now let's see. Now I know you told me you lost a lot of weight, right? So what was it?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it like close to 100 pounds?
Well, I would say like at first I was the highest I was about actually around 228 at one time. A
Uh-huh.
big part of losing a big part of losing a lot of weight was taking out. I cut out soda first. I cut out soda, and then I got down to about maybe uh, I would say 210. And then once I went vegan, that's when the rest of the weight that I could just never drop just started dropping off.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So
Yeah, and I started just eating. I just started eating mostly honestly, a lot of strawberries and carrots. That was like my main thing. I like to eat that.
all right. So like a couple of pounds of strawberries a day, or like
Uh, I took a lot, yeah, I ate a lot of strawberries and a lot of carrots. Like I bring them for lunch, and then let's see, what did I think in the morning I would eat like a kale salad or something like that.
wow.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. But I was discovering that I needed something to be more like satisfying as
Yeah.
like now I follow like Dr. McDougall's way with the starch, and that seems to work best for me, to be
Beautiful.
honest,
Beautiful.
because it keeps me full. I don't feel hungry all the time. It was working for me with the weight loss before, but I would still get really hungry, even after eating a lot of the fruit and the greens and stuff like that.
That's a great point, Shawn. I like hearing you say that because I know that the raw thing works for a lot of people, but I know also that the cooked thing works for a lot of people. So, and I myself eat a good bit of cooked food. So, I think for me, mixing it up, I try to incorporate a good bit of raw, but I also still like potatoes, rice, pasta. Um, but okay, so you lost weight, you got off the meds. Um,
Mhm.
and then it sounds like it almost sounds like you did this almost as much for ethical reasons as you did for for health
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah, I mean, especially finding out that you don't need to eat it in order to survive. I think that's the biggest thing that people need to know, is you don't need to eat animals in order to survive. And if that's the case, I always say to people, well, what are we eating them for then? We're eating them for taste. They're going through all this torture and slaughter for taste. It's like
Yeah,
there's no justification to that.
it's crazy.
It
It's
has to
crazy.
be. Yeah, there
Yeah,
has to
I saw.
be some kind of compassionate connection. There has to be, people gotta. It's got to click at some point.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, I love what you're saying. I watched an interesting video today, and I forget the girl's name, but she was doing a TED talk on this, and she was making the point that for most of the animal kingdom, we don't think of animals as food, but there's like 5 or 6 animals, cows, pigs, lamb, sheep, fish. There's maybe 6 to 10 categories of animals that we think are acceptable to eat, and so because that's the popular consciousness that it's acceptable, people eat that stuff. But if you really look at the whole animal kingdom, we don't naturally think of animals as food. Um,
No.
it's like a learned activity.
Yeah, I mean, like, the majority of people, you don't see them going out and trying to. I mean, yeah, there are people that eat squirrels, but most of the time you see them out in the neighborhood, and you're not thinking, I need to eat that, you know.
Exactly,
Or
exactly.
I always say, like, why is a blue jay or something allowed to go fly around in the neighborhood, but yet we're doing this to all these other animals. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
it's
It's
crazy.
like it is. I mean, I mean, I have a cat and 2 dogs, and I even think about it like, if they could survive outside without, getting hit by a car or getting in the way of, you know, the things that humans do, that they want to be out there. I mean, they're inside, and I think they like being with us, but they would rather be outside.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic. I know some vegans are like really into not having animals as pets, and I don't know if I feel like there's an interesting relationship that humans can have with animals, and I I think it's cool to have pets. I don't, and if you can find a way to feed them that doesn't fuel the animal industry.
Yeah,
But that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
it is.
Um,
It is. Yeah.
all right, all right. So there's a couple other things. You mentioned earlier that you kind of wanted to get away from pills, and you were talking about supplementation. So at this point, do you do any kind of supplementation?
No, no supplements at all, no medication at all. I feel like I'm getting everything I need. I haven't felt, fatigued at all. I mean, I haven't had a cold, a headache, a stomach ache, nothing in 2 years. I mean, that's
That's
saying
that's
something.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's common too for a lot of vegans. And so B12 is not an issue.
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I eat, some of the vegetables that I get from the markets and stuff around here, or, if they still have the dirt on that, I don't care if it has a little bit of dirt on it, I'll still eat it. And I don't, it's not really something I worry about, to be honest. I
Okay.
maybe in the future, but I don't, yeah, I don't worry about it too much.
Okay. Okay. And how about like water? Do you try to drink a lot of water in the day, or do you find you don't need much of that?
The more that I do get myself to drink, the better I feel. You know, I like it, but I do need to drink a little bit more of it.
Okay. All
Uh,
right.
uh, I mean, yeah, I just got to get on top of that more. I should drink more water.
All right. And then it sounds you're kind of like me. You're kind of a late night person. Do you when you do get to sleep, do you try to get in a certain number of hours? Do you have to wake up with an alarm? How do you do sleep?
Mm, I try to get at least maybe 6 hours of sleep, and I can usually wake up without the alarm.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I'm pretty good with that. Like I'll probably go to bed around. If I go to bed like real late, like 3 o'clock, I can wake up around 9 o'clock, pretty good, without and I feel pretty good too. I still have quite a bit of energy, even with just the 6 hours of sleep. Sometimes more, it feels like I have more energy than when I get an 8 hour sleep, which is strange, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. All right, and what was the other thing? Now, you've been doing this for a while, so I imagine you've become aware of some of the environmental aspects of living this way. And tell us what you've learned in that regard.
Um, well, definitely, like you brought up in a lot of other videos with the water usage,
Yeah,
that's huge. I mean, we worry about wasting too much water ourselves when they're, having the animals drink all the water that could be, it could be going to so many other people, and we're feeding all the grain to, you know, to all this cattle when it could be feeding other people. It's insane. I mean,
yeah,
even working. I mean, but then there's even things like throwing away foods at like I work at a grocery store and we throw away. Sometimes we throw away hundreds of dollars worth of food every night, and it's crazy. It's like that could be going to somebody,
yeah, yeah. It's huge, and you're reminding me too. A lot of these third world countries, one of the reasons they don't eat tons of animal products is that they don't have refrigeration. Refrigeration. So we take it for granted here, but in a lot of countries, a lot of poverty-stricken areas, they don't even have refrigeration. So, animal products, you've got to have refrigeration, and it's a huge cost in terms of energy,
yeah,
and then it's ruining your health as well. So it's crazy. Um,
yeah.
all right, so it's cool.
One
So
other thing,
go ahead.
yeah, one other thing from my past, when I was 19, I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and like I went through six months of chemotherapy, and I did 3 weeks of radiation therapy,
Wow.
and that I would avoid at all costs. If I were to have like if I wouldn't have known about the veganism now and then found out about it, I would have went the plant-based way, because that was hell.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I
That,
almost died. I almost died.
yeah.
From
Thank
it.
God you survived, man. I mean, that's people die with that, right? So I guess.
And then you see people all around you saying, that the doctors are only giving them this much amount of time to live, and it's like, you're thinking there's got to be another option to this. This can't be the only option.
Yeah.
And then when you're sitting in a room, for 4 hours with getting intravenous of a poison going into your body, and you're just, you're getting sicker by the hour and throwing up. It's like, it's insane. It's
And I imagine through the whole course of that, nobody ever said anything about diet, did they?
no, no. I mean, they told me to stay away from shellfish, but they should have told me to stay away from the rest of it too.
Yeah, it's
But,
crazy, crazy. All right.
and,
Now, one thing I think it's really interesting with you, I think you said like you work in a grocery store, and in a way you have to deal with meat, and it was kind of similar to my situation. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, obviously you feel for the animals, but also you have this job and it pays the bills. So talk a little bit about balancing that.
I would probably say the only thing that really helps with that is knowing that you can have an impact on changing the people around you and informing them about where it all comes from. And sometimes the customers also, if they ask, because if they ask, do I like this product, I'll just say, well, I'm a vegan, I don't eat that, and then all of a sudden the questions get rolling, and I'll just be like, hey, check out this documentary. Sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But I look at it as an opportunity to get information to people where they normally wouldn't get it.
I
I
love that, Shawn.
mean, it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
It's really tough. I mean, it's really tough. I mean, yeah, and your taste buds change, or your smell changes just like your taste buds, and it's almost like you got a sixth sense. It's weird. Even when I had cancer and I was going through chemo, it was really weird. I could smell the drug on other people who were just out and about. It was like almost like a sixth sense, like nobody else could smell it, but I could smell it on them. And I asked the doctors about that, and they said, yeah, that happens sometimes. And it just blew my mind, though. It was like, what would cause you to have heightened, senses like that?
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah.
And now I can smell past all the spices and all that stuff with the meats, and it just smells disgusting.
Yeah, man. I know it's hard for meat eaters to understand that, but it's like when you have not had it for a while, it is not it's not as attractive as it was when you were eating it. It starts to really become kind of repulsive.
Yes, and then you see, you open a package of roast beef and you see the blood, and you know that was blood. It's blood. You're eating blood. Why are you eating blood when you could be eating a plant? You could be eating. It's like, come on. It's disgusting. Yeah.
You're so right, Shawn. You're so right. Now you were relating to me. It sounds like you must have a great way of communicating with folks, because it sounds like you've got a lot of people that are, at least they're modifying their behaviors either for their own health or as a way of respecting you when you're hanging out with people. Tell us about that. How hard has that been?
It's been difficult at times. It is some people more receptive than others, like always. I was as if or actually saying that if you don't need to eat it to survive, then why are you eating it? Or you have to get that thought going in their mind. You have to get them thinking, it's not a nutritional necessity,
Right.
And that's when the wheel begins to roll a little bit, and then I start telling them about, what goes on. I've seen pigs being boiled alive. I've seen, the chicken beaks been sliced off, and then, I've even seen packages come in with the chicken beak still in them.
It's gross.
And it goes back to, like what Peter Singer said in his book that he wrote, that he said it's not a question if they're smart, it's if they can suffer. They shouldn't be suffering for what, for taste. It's like, and it doesn't even, they don't even taste good. People, like I said, they throw spices and they do all these things to it, and it,
yeah.
So,
That's great.
but I would say I get through to a lot of people by offering the alternatives too. I say check out, almond milk, see what you think of that. just recently, I took one of the people that I work with to see a vegan lecture at a vegan restaurant, and and that kind of was the icing on the cakes, that really drove it home for him, because sometimes you got to hear it from somebody else for some reason. It's not enough coming from you; they have to hear it from somebody else.
Yeah, I love what you're doing, Shawn. It's like it's a beautiful way. You're kind of working it into your life and just kind of spreading the word. Because I find a lot of people can get so turned off that it's almost, if I'm talking about it too much, you can kind of see their eyes glaze over and they think I'm some kind of vegan nutcase, vegan alien weird dude, and they just don't want to have to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've always been one though that likes confrontation. I don't know why, but I like to when people say you can't, I like to prove them wrong. And I like to delve deeper in. I'll be like the little kid that keeps nagging. Why? Okay, well, why don't you just try it out? Try it for a week. Try it for 3 days. It's like you're only going to see benefits. Why wouldn't you at least give it a try? It's something that's going to make you feel better. Why wouldn't you want to do something that's going to make you feel better?
That's great. That's great. I love that. Yeah.
So I keep going at it. Like the more angry they get, the more driven I become.
Dude, I like it, man. I like it. All right. So there's a whole other area that you mentioned. I want to hear some of your story about, and that is the heavy metal music. So now I think
Yeah.
tell us the name of your YouTube channel. Is it it's vegan heavy metal? What is it?
Uh, well, I have two YouTube channels. I have Shawn Dworkin 27, so SHAWNDWORKIN 27 at gmail.com, or whatever it listed as under YouTube. And then I have my other email, which is veganwarrior123 at gmail.com.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I went to Vegan Warrior and I
Yeah.
saw a lot of heavy metal references.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up with that. I mean, it started with Metallica, and then I went to, Slayer, um,
Cool.
and just progressively heavier as I went. And I always liked the message in metal. I like the think for yourself, question everything, you know. Basically, don't believe everything you're being told, because there's a whole nother, you know, thing going on outside of what we're being taught. And also it gave me a sense of independence
Uh-huh.
and, and pride, whenever yourself, and you can, like ROTC when I was in high school,
Yep.
that helped me also. That helped me with disciplining myself. There's a lot of things that molded me into, what I am today. Um,
All right.
like and then also other forms of music like progressive rock, like my favorite band is Yes, and they've always been doing stuff different than most other bands, and uh, been a huge inspiration. But yeah, back to the metal. I would listen to the band Hatebreed to get me through the chemotherapy, and that's what they have. They have an album called Rise of Brutality, and that talks about a lot of self-pride, believing in yourself. Uh, if you don't live for something, you'll die for nothing is one of the lyrics, and that really inspired me. You have to live for something, and for me now, it's all about the animals. It's all about getting them to be liberated. It just shouldn't be happening at all.
Dude.
With the metal, as far as the metal scene goes, I think there's a lot of compassionate people, metal fan or not, but they're all about justice also, but it's usually mostly regarding humans. There's one of the bands that I listen to, Obituary. They have sometimes they have a concert that benefits helping feral cats, but then outside they'll have barbecue. And it's
Yeah,
like there's a
yeah,
there's a there's a contradiction there,
yeah.
and that's a problem. So I want to and you want to speak up about it in places like that, but you're going to get so much slag for it. So it's a thing where you have to progress upon that, slowly with I think with people to the metal,
Yeah, sensitivity. Yeah, I see the guitar behind you. So you play guitar?
Yeah, I play guitar and I play keyboard, and I record my own music using this program here, using GarageBand,
All right, all right.
and
And
and then I upload it to SoundCloud, and my SoundCloud page is it's Songman Writer Hand 1, and that's where I have my songs on there. And
okay.
then I have a few YouTube videos too. Like one of the songs I recorded at a studio down in Clearwater, Florida, a song called Spring Valley. And what I really want to do is I want my music to go to documentaries to help animals. You know that's really where I want it to be lended towards. If I can get it into something like that, it'd be nice. But I'm not sure which routes to go to get it into something like that. But that's what I want to do.
That's
So
beautiful, Shawn. That's
yeah.
beautiful. Can you tell me again the name of the SoundCloud? It's Songman?
Yeah, it's called Songman Writer Hand 1. It's an interesting name I came up with. I just thought it had a nice ring to it. So
That's
it's
cool.
yeah, so SONG and then WRITER writer MAN 1.
Okay.
And then I have a few songs on there right now, so
Very cool. Very cool. All right. And oh yeah, and I meant to ask you this earlier. So one of the things that's happened is through your educating your parents have kind of been shifting towards a vegan diet, and it sounds like they've had some health issues. Tell us a little bit about their transition and how it was a little bit of a battle for you, and maybe you could add with this, you care about their health, so part of sharing this information is you don't want them to have to suffer, right?
right, right. Yeah, I mean, my parents are in their early 60s, and I know that in 10, 20 years, that's when a lot of people start, seeing a lot of, you know, bad health things going on in their older years. So I wanted to make sure that they were in optimum health going into those years. And my mother was going through, or is still going through, cancer, but has stopped the chemo and stopped the radiation. The progression into it was a little bit difficult. I would try to get them to watch documentaries. I would try to get them to look at anything, print out stuff, and leave it on the table for them to read.
Yeah, yeah.
And at first they thought it was a cult, veganism. They thought veganism was a cult. you know, because it's like, what are you talking about? But as time went on and they started getting more of the facts and they saw how serious I was, and I was joining meetups like Florida Voices for Animals, where they do the protests for animals, and they do doing the leaflets at colleges and all kinds of awareness.
That's cool. Is that organization, Shawn, that's called For the Voices of Animals?
Florida Voices for Animals.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
And and they're mostly based out of Tampa. And every year they have they they get the Florida or the Tampa Bay one in Channelside in Tampa
Okay.
going, and that brings thousands of people. Like I think they had like 4,000 people the last time they did it, which is awesome.
Yeah, you know,
And
it's
they
kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Florida has a little bit of the California vibe in terms of like health food stores and stuff, and I think that's a benefit you guys have in Florida.
yeah. There's a place I travel about maybe like 45 minutes to a certain place that I go to a little health food store, but some of the workers there are vegan, and um, I just find that they're more. I like small business. I don't like corporatism. I like small business, and I like being able to get to know the people that you know that you're getting these products from,
Cool.
or and just have that connection. I wanted to do more like co-op, like actual farms and stuff like that, but you have to travel pretty far to go to the farms. Um,
Yeah.
but it's the next best thing. But you're right. There is definitely more. There's more permaculture meetups. There's more people getting into more plant-based and growing their own things, and even veganism is getting more popular. Like over in Orlando, they have the Animal Federation of Florida, which I'm also part of, and they do a lot of the SeaWorld protests. They're always at SeaWorld protesting there. And I've gone out to about 3 SeaWorld protests out there, and that's getting huge now, and it's really having an impact. I've seen people turn their car around, and they didn't go into SeaWorld, which is nice to see, and they gave the thumbs up and they honked the horn, and that's always nice.
That's
And
good.
and then with Florida Voice for Animals, I protested at the Ringling Brothers circus, and made people aware of all the abuse that they do to those animals. Also,
Wow.
like a lot of people don't know that there's these long barbs at the end of the things that they hit the elephants with to get them to do the tricks and stuff like that. That stabs into their skin. you
Wow.
know, and then you put an animal that size into a cage. It's the size of my bedroom essentially. It's bound to make the animal go insane.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's just not right.
Yeah.
So
Great points, Shawn. Great points. If you were talking to someone who was considering this for the first time, what would be some general tips you'd give them to eat this way? To eat?
um, I would say I would probably say to just go just do the vegan straight up. Don't do vegetarian, because then you're gonna be attached to the dairy. It's gonna be a lot harder to just drop the dairy. Um, mostly get informed. Watch watch Dr. McDougall. Watch Dr. Neil Bernard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Watch your channel. I recommend everybody to all these channels. So Bite Size Vegan, you know, um, Durian Rider and Freely.
Yeah.
They were big on inspiring me early on too. That's honestly what helps the most. Also, finding what you like. Eat what you like. Don't try to force yourself to eat stuff that you don't like. Find the one fruit that you can eat tons of, and eat that. You know.
Yeah. I like that. That's very practical. Yeah.
Yeah. Go with what you like. Also, look through the eyes of the animal. I mean, if you were in a cage, and you were in that cage your entire life, where you couldn't turn around. I mean, just think of if you were that animal, how it would affect you. You know, that's all you need to. That's all you need. That's all the inspiration you need. As far as food, also, like I said, eat what you like. You know, always have something you can snack on. You know, because that's a big part of it. Because people get hungry and they'll be like, you know, they know what to eat for dinner and stuff like that, but they're like, what do I eat in between? You know, for me, it's I would say it's raw green beans. I love eating raw green beans and raisins. You
Huh.
know,
Okay.
like I could just snack on those all day, and I'm fine. You know, so
That's
yeah,
cool. I'll have to try that. Raw green beans. I'll try that.
yeah. And then my dogs love them too. They'll just eat them all the time. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. All right, man. Well, I'm trying to think if we've missed anything. I feel like we've flown through this. Let's see. Any other topics you want to throw in here?
Hmm.
I guess one thing you touched on, and I guess we talked about it earlier, but you said you're kind of doing a McDougal thing. So for
Mm-hmm.
you, it's like you obviously you get a lot of raw in your diet, but you also get cooked, and for you, you feel like you can mix the two, and you feel good with that.
Yeah, I feel best when I eat raw. Like if I were I've been thinking about going completely raw and still sticking with starchy vegetables like carrots, you
Yep.
know. But if I were to keep doing cooked also, I stick with potatoes, beans, rice, and that's what seems to and bulgur. Like I'll use bulgur and I'll make tabbouleh. Um,
Yeah.
I love making curry. I love curry.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Indian
that's
food.
my favorite right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Indian food's so
Yes,
good.
I want to learn how to make dal. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
um. But another point probably to bring up would be according to Cowspiracy, we got what 5 more years to get this right, to get people on board before it's irreversible. It's like what more what more do you need to know than the human race could be gone, and or it's irreversible within the 5 year time span that we need to start changing everybody over.
You know,
And you yeah.
I haven't seen Cowspiracy yet, but I've heard it's really good. 5 years, that's not long. And we're exporting this fast food concept to foreign countries. It's terrifying, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And you got even in that documentary, somebody from the dairy industry was saying it's not sustainable. I mean, if you got somebody from the actual dairy industry saying that it's not sustainable, what more proof do you need? That's it right there.
Yeah.
You know.
You
So
know,
it's
you
yeah.
reminded me of a whole nother topic too. I forget which video this is in, but they were talking about processing, ground beef for fast food uh, restaurants, and they built this facility where they kept having problems with diseases in the meat. So they built this facility and they send the meat there and they wash this meat in some kind of bleach uh, product, and then the meat comes out and then they prepare it and send it to the restaurants. I mean, is that disgust? They're washing the ground beef in like a bleach, some kind of bleach solution, and then they send it. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
Also, they're cutting tumors out of the meat. I've seen this. They've cut tumors, and then okay, here's a good one right here. Ready? If there is anybody eating meat out there, look at the meat and you'll notice that there's bruise marks on it. That's when they keep them in the confined areas and they're pecking at each other and everything like that. You see these huge red marks on the meat. and stuff. That's what that is. That's the bruise marks from them, you know, being in those confined, headquarters, and yeah. And then the pigs get their teeth ripped out, and then the hens get their beak sliced off. I mean, it's
what amazes me, Shawn, is that humans came up with these procedures. It's like it makes me wonder about my race.
Where did it start? That's what I wonder. Where did it start? You know what I mean? Like, did it start from when there was a famine where with our cognitive state? Because I've even seen I even saw something about they fed a vegan diet to people in a jail, and all of a sudden rival gang members who were fighting were all of a sudden getting along in the courtyard playing basketball together. It completely changes the mentality. Here's my thing, there are no bad people. I mean, there's only what you're taught, because think about it, you're not a murderer when you're a kid, you know what I mean? And everybody's getting along. It's all these stereotypes that are pumped into people, and it's just all a bunch of brainwashing. That's all it is.
Great point, Shawn. Great point. Yeah, I've talked to several people about this. That if it's acceptable to you to kill animals, then that translates into having less value on other human beings. And if you raise your own sense of ethics and caring for animals, then of course it's going to heighten your respect for other human beings. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, and even when you're a kid, I mean, if you even when you're a kid, like kids will shoot pigeons, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, when you're a kid, it's like, I look at it like you don't know any better when you're a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're thinking of it as play, but to kill with intention as you get older, to actually know that the actions in which you're doing, and that I think is driven by the animal-based products. I think it alters the mind. The testosterone, the estrogen, all that, it has an effect on the mind where plus the violent television and everything like that, it all has an effect on it. I mean, there's some people that can separate those two things. I listen to heavy metal, which is not exactly, it can get violent, but at the same time, it's got positive messages also. You can separate the two things.
Yeah, well, I think that the heavy metal for you when you're going through cancer, that's a really interesting example. And obviously, for every new generation, there's like a new style of music that speaks to that generation. And it sounds like metal really gave you some inspiration to help you get through that. That's an amazing. Nobody can deny that. It's like you may not like heavy metal, but man, it sounds like it helped you save your life.
Well, it's it's what a lot of metal fans say. I mean, it's better to take out your aggression in the mosh pit at a concert than it is to go out and buy a gun and shoot somebody or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can get it's where it says Exodus would say friendly violent fun. Where you can get all that the stress out, and you can slam into people at a concert, but at the like that. But people come to the concerts and I see them, they're all very tense and stuff, but by the end of the show everybody's getting along, and that's a beautiful thing.
That's a great point, Shawn. I read something interesting recently, and it was talking about why kids go to things like what you're describing, a mosh pit or like a rave, and what are they finding there that they're not finding in like traditional religious environments? Like you can take them to church, and that's not really speaking to them, but they go to the mosh pit or the rave, and that is speaking to them, and it's because it's it's more real. It's
Yeah.
it's got an earthiness, a kind of it's down and dirty a little bit, you know. It's almost like some of the conventional religious atmosphere. It's kind of it's too pure, too rarefied. It doesn't have that kind of sweat and grime of the real world, you know. Um, and anyway,
Yeah, and there's no hypocrisy to it too. You know what I mean? You go to church, you see people holding hands or let's love one another, and then they go outside, and then they're getting in a fight outside or something like that.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's organized religion is it's I don't know. That's a whole nother topic, but it didn't work for me. I find you know I find Mother Nature a lot more appealing than I do a God that talks about stoning women to death and stuff like that, and doing all
Yeah.
kinds of other crazy stuff like that. It's like, come on, spiritual's one thing, organized religion's a whole other thing. That's why I've been looking into Unitarian Universalist a little bit more. I
Yeah.
think they've got a good concept where you're just kind of bringing all the good ideas, all the good ideologies together and uniting under one kind of common piece. But of
Love it.
course,
Love it.
that has to include the end.
I lost you there for a sec. But yeah, I totally agree. Unitarian Universalists, great resource. I like what they do. And you got cut off there. What were you saying?
Yeah. I was wondering what was happening. I just saw it like freeze up for a second. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay now though. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like and I mean I'm kind of into religion myself, and I'm not an atheist. I respect the atheist position, and I do recognize obviously that religion has been the source of a lot of questionable activity, you know, over the course of history. But I also feel like it's also inspired some good as well. So I think it's a mixed bag. And if you're doing if let's say if you're following the best principles of your religion,
Yes.
which I think are universal, and like you're saying, the Unitarian Universalists try to respect that. I think if you take that approach, it can be a positive force for good.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm not completely atheistic because nobody knows what happens after you die. I mean, that's just fact. I mean, there could be something, there might not be something. But that's another thing I try to get through to people. It's like, why do you worry your whole life about what's going to happen after? Just live your life, and whatever happens, happens. It's like you have no control over it. Don't worry about the things you can't control.
Yeah.
That's why I say don't watch the news. Don't watch television. Read a book. Get outside. Do something. Get off Facebook. I mean, it's like, do you really need to have that 24/7 just, technological brainwashing? It's like it would take away my energy when I would be looking at that stuff all the time too. I didn't feel like I was in touch with anything.
You
Now I
know,
feel, yeah,
I think it's a great point, Shawn. I do I read a good bit of like political stuff, and I kind of keep track of that because it interests me. But you're right. It most of the time it just agitates me, and it's a lot of negative stuff. So I think it's a great point you're making. It's like you don't have to have that in your life if you don't want to.
yeah. I mean, people complain about gas prices and stuff like that, but if you're not going to go out
I lost you there again.
and say something
Something,
about it, then why do? But you're just
Shawn?
yeah. I'm here.
Yeah, I
Oh, there it
lost
goes.
that. I lost that last bit. But you were saying people complain about gas prices, but
but you can't do if you can't do anything to control them, or if you're not going to organize a bunch of people to try to get those prices lower, say something. It's like you're just wasting valuable energy, worrying about those things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I've kind of, you know, as far as the political thing and everything like that, I don't follow it because I realize it's all fixed. It's all a fixed political system. And you could say what you want, but the fact is, while you're busting your ass at your job, those people are, you know, banking basically and not caring. So don't give them. Don't. It's like they say on YouTube and lots of social media. Don't feed the troll. You know. Don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't. If somebody's causing trouble on a video or whatever, or if somebody's causing trouble in your life, don't keep feeding it your energy. Get away from it.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
love that. It's very practical, very makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's. I find the best thing to do is just find what makes you happy. I mean, for me, I like to go to the springs in Florida. I like them better than the beach. I like how crystal clear the water is. I like not having to step on hot sand. It's the simple things like that.
No,
Um,
I like that. It's been a
I don't know.
theme
I
today.
connect with it.
Yeah,
Really?
some simple things.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Good.
yeah. Like that's my haven. When I go up to the springs, that's old Florida. That's the way it used to be. That's what we're supposed to be living in still, you know. And I noticed that even when it's like 100 degrees outside, you find a shaded area. There's your air conditioning right there. People say, well, if you were living outside, how are you going to get your air conditioning in Florida? Well, the trees provide that. You know,
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true.
it's
All
cool.
right,
Yeah.
my, my brother. I think I'm gonna. I think we've got a good interview here. And how would you like to close with anything?
Go vegan. Or if you're not vegan already, if you are, don't be afraid to speak up. Say stuff to people. The better you'll feel. You know, um, and we only have so much time. You know what I mean? We have to start doing this now.
Yeah, that's a good rallying cry.
That would probably be the biggest thing. Yeah, start lecturing at your library. You don't even have to speak. All you have to do is show the documentary at your library and say check out one of the rooms and say all you want to do is show a filming of it, and it's gonna hit some people and it won't hit some other people, but it's gonna make an impact somewhere. You
That's a
know.
great tip, Shawn. Yeah, it's great. Just do what you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's my thing now. It's if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die trying, And I mean, the world's sinking fast, but you feel better that you did something rather than
Yes.
nothing, and
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
I like it.
Be the voice for the
Yep.
voiceless.
Be
Be the
the
voice
change.
for the voice.
Be the
Yeah,
change
be
you want to
the
see. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And all these channels prove that we can make a difference. I mean, look how many followers we have now.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. So I guess that's it. This is awesome. Thank
Shawn,
you.
thank you for taking the time, my friend. I really appreciate it. It's a
Thank
great
you.
story, inspiring story, man. So,
Yes. Let the battle wait. Let the battle rage on.
amen, amen. Victory is coming. Victory is coming.
Yes. Yes. We we'll start to make an impact with the future. It's happening already, and it's once the ball is rolling, you can't stop it. You know what I mean? Or as Bruce Lee would say, "Be water, my friend." You
All
know.
right. All right, and good luck with the music, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, going to keep it going because it's what I love, and it's gonna go towards something that's gonna help out. You know, if anybody wants to give me any information on how I can get this going stronger, let me know. You know, I need connections with music. I'm just not sure what organizations to contact. You know.
Cool, man. You know, you
Uh,
might be able to. I wonder if you could submit some of your like clips to YouTube. That people have their clips on YouTube, and then people can put them on their videos. Maybe you could put a couple of clips up there.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I guess I could do
I don't
that.
know if that would be lucrative or anything, or if or how difficult it is, but it's worth a
I mean,
shot.
I have it on my channel. I'm not sure how to go about doing
Well,
anything else.
like when you have a channel and if you start getting into the business of editing your videos and playing around with your videos, there's an area where you can create a video, and in that area you can assign audio clips to your videos, and those audio clips, they have this long selection of various artists, many of whom I've never heard of. So these people must be submitting their clips to get used. So there might be some process you could look into to do that. You might, who you might talk to? Are you familiar with what's the name of those folks? They're in Hawaii. The couple, they do Happy Healthy Vegan. Um, they
Yeah,
do they do a lot of music. You might connect with them. Um,
yeah. Or what's that? John Sakers, I think his name is John. Yeah, but I'll look at I'll contact them and I'll
yeah,
see. Also, when I went to go see the vegan lecture by Will Tuttle, that's the one that I took my friend from work to. He said that he's making a documentary based on his his book, the plant the World Peace Diet, and he said that he might be able to use it. So, but he's on tour right now, so he was going to let me know after that. But it's something that might come through.
cool,
So
cool, Shawn, cool, man.
yeah,
All right,
thank you,
brother.
Paul.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself.
Take care. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.